The game you play is much older than the first flicker of fire in the void.
Yeah.
That line from Zoran's prologue, it really sticks with you.
It does, doesn't it? It sort of taps into something deep, that human fascination with games, with risk, with trying to figure out the rules of life itself.
Yeah, exactly. And well, what if poker, often just seen as a game of chance, actually holds some real keys to understanding all that?
It's definitely a surprising angle,
Yeah.
thinking that the strategies and principles you see at a poker table could actually mirror these bigger life principles. It makes you lean in wanting to know what those connections are.
Right. And guiding us through this is, believe it or not, a cosmic dragon named Zoran. We got these amazing excerpts, which you, our listeners, shared from his guide, The Dragon's Guide to the River of Life, Finding Zen in the Poker Table.
And it's such a unique take. A dragon using poker metaphors to explore skill, chance, making tough calls, even listening to your gut. It's quite imaginative.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it's not just fantasy. What he's doing, it seems, is using this metaphor to get us thinking right
Yeah.
about how we handle our own lives.
Exactly. It feels very introspective, actually, less about learning to play poker better and more about using poker concepts as a mirror for our own choices and reactions.
Totally. So that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to pull out the key insights, those nuggets from Zoran's guide that you shared.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to explore those surprising links between a poker game and what Zoran calls the river of life, hopefully giving you some aha moments, a fresh way to look at things without getting bogged down in, super dense philosophy.
Basically, we're unpacking Zoran's core ideas, showing how poker strategy can, surprisingly, offer some wisdom for navigating all the uncertainty life throws at us.
Okay, so where do we start? Zoran's big concept, the river of life.
Right. He paints this picture of existence as this massive flowing river. And poker. Poker is like a reflection pool on the riverbank, showing us how we deal with risk, how we practice patience within that constant flow.
And what about luck? I found his take really interesting.
Yeah, he doesn't really see it as random. He calls it ripples of fate, just small disturbances on the surface of this huge river.
Which completely changes how you might think about, lucky breaks or bad beats.
It does. And from there, he draws these paradoxes from poker that apply straight to life, like knowing when to fold.
Yes. Knowing when to cut your losses, walk away from a situation that's just not working, or understanding there are forces you can't always see influencing things.
And that leads right into embracing uncertainty. He really hammers home that change is the only thing you can truly count on.
He has those dragon trials too, right? Little thought experiment.
Exactly. Like one asks you to think about a time everything just fell apart unexpectedly. How did you adapt? It forces you to think about flexibility because just like in poker, the situation can change in an instant.
Makes sense. And another big one early on is playing the long game.
Oh, definitely. Patience. Persistence. Not getting caught up in needing that instant win. Zoran really values looking at the bigger picture.
Like that dragon trial, asking about a skill you're developing.
Mhm.
Are you really putting in the steady effort over time? It's a good gut check.
Mm-hmm. And connected to that is the strategic retreat. He calls it folding your ego.
I like that phrase, folding your ego.
Yeah. It's about knowing when to let go of a losing hand in life, basically. Not letting pride keep you stuck in something unwinnable. There's another trial about something you're resisting releasing, and the wisdom and maybe just letting it go gracefully.
Like that argument you just know isn't going anywhere productive.
Precisely. Sometimes the smartest move is just walking away, conserving your energy.
Okay, so moving on, he gets into reading tells and inner senses. Now, usually you think of poker tells as like physical ticks.
Right, the outer senses. But Zoran kind of flips that. He says, yeah, those are there, but they're limited. The real insights come from your inner senses.
The gut feeling, intuition.
Exactly. He calls it the whisper beyond thought. That little voice or feeling we often ignore because it doesn't seem logical. He actually has a dragon trial about pausing before deciding and just listening, really listening.
That's hard to do sometimes. We want to jump straight to logic.
We do. And he also talks about emotions in a similar way. He sees them as currents. They can pull you, sure, but they don't have to be you. They don't have to dictate your choices.
So observe them, don't just obey them.
That's the idea. There's a trial about reflecting on an emotion you struggle with. When did it mislead you? When was it maybe helpful? It's about understanding, not just reacting.
And this connects to trusting your gut, the dragon's instinct.
Yes. And he makes a key distinction between a sudden impulse, which might be fear or excitement, and that deeper, calmer sense of knowing, that wisdom-driven certainty.
He says something like, your mind plays tricks your gut rarely does.
That's the one. And the trial for that asks about times your head and your gut were telling you different things. What happened? What did you learn? It's about calibrating that inner compass.
Okay, let's talk about the bluff. Chapter 3, The Art of the Bluff in Everyday Life. This sounds a bit sneaky.
Well, yes and no. Zoran reframes it. It's not just about deceiving people. It's more sophisticated. It's about mastering perception, subtly shaping how reality is seen. He even suggests the universe works like that sometimes with gentle nudges.
So a well-played bluff, in his view, isn't necessarily a lie.
Not necessarily an outright lie, no. It's more about strategic disclosure. Not revealing everything you know, holding some cards back, creating a bit of uncertainty to influence how others see the situation.
Like in a negotiation, maybe. You don't lay all your cards on the table at once.
Exactly. You're controlling the flow of information. The dragon trial here gets you thinking about times when perception was more powerful than the hard facts.
And what about the reverse tell? That sounds more like active misdirection.
It is. It's about creating false signals to hide your true position or intention. He gives examples: the warrior pretending to be weak, or the poker player faking a nervous habit.
Ah, okay. So it's about making your opponent look in the wrong direction.
Pretty much. The trial for this asks you to think about needing to be subtle, how you might redirect attention without giving the game away, but always considering the overall balance.
Which brings up the ethics, right?
Yeah.
When is this kind of shaping perception okay?
Zoran definitely goes there. Can deception or maybe selective truth-telling serve a higher purpose sometimes? For balance, for a better outcome overall.
That's a tricky one.
It is. And the trial asks you to reflect on that. Was the intention behind shaping perception-wise or just self-serving? It demands some honesty.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. Chapter 4. Bankroll management as life force management. This sounds intriguing.
It really is. He takes this practical poker concept, managing your money, and elevates it. Wealth isn't just stuff you hoard. It's like energy, a flow that needs to be channeled wisely.
Like the universe's own cycles, maybe? Growth, contraction.
Sort of, yeah. And the crucial idea is that we buy into life situations, not just with cash, but with our time, our focus, our emotional energy, our very soul, you could say.
That really makes you stop and think, where am I spending my energy? The trial asks that, right? Take stock of your resources.
It does, a personal audit almost. And then applying that poker wisdom, knowing when to hold them and when to fold them with that life energy.
Recognizing what's draining you for no good return.
Exactly. And having the courage to disengage from those energy sinks. The related trial points you towards areas where you just feel constantly depleted. What needs to change?
And the positive side of that, investing wisely.
Yes. Investing in the treasure of the self. Skills, good habits, knowledge, inner resilience, things that become part of you that can't really be lost or stolen like material wealth. The trial prompts you. How are you actively investing in yourself?
Okay, now part 2 gets into specific poker hands as life metaphors. These are quite evocative. Let's touch on a few key ones. The royal flush.
Ugh, the ultimate hand. Zoran sees this as representing those incredibly rare, perfect opportunities. The catch. They often arrive quietly. You need to be paying attention.
So it's about training yourself to spot them and then having the guts to act.
Precisely. Seize them with certainty when they appear. The trial asks about moments of unexpected luck you might have almost missed.
That's 4 of a kind.
This one's about consistency. Building strong routines, steady habits, what he calls building your life fortress. It's about the power of showing up day after day. Mastery is often quiet progress.
And the trial is about refining your daily rituals, making them stronger.
Making them work for you.
Full house. That sounds like trying to have it all.
Kinda. It's about harmony and duality. Balancing opposites work and play, logic and passion, rest and action. Not keeping them separate, but weaving them together skillfully.
And the trial points to areas where you feel out of balance.
Right, where things may be pulling too hard in one direction.
I heard the flush.
This represents going with the flow, adaptability, being like water, moving with the current of life instead of fighting against it with rigid plans.
So letting go of the need for absolute control. The trial asks where you might be resisting change.
Exactly. Where are you digging your heels in when maybe you should be flowing?
And the straight.
Commitment, discipline, staying the course even when it gets tough or boring. He warns against detours, distractions that steal your focus, your destiny.
Thieves of destiny. Strong words. The trial asks what steals your focus most often.
Yeah, identifying those recurring distractions that pull you off track.
He also mentions community and solitude, using other hands.
He does. Three of a kind links to community, finding your tribe, the strength and collaboration, the shared pot of synergy, life support, basically.
But then high card, usually seen as weak in poker.
But Zoran links it to the strength of self-reliance, the courage to stand alone when needed, relying on your own inner resources. An interesting twist.
And finally, perhaps the most profound, the folded hand, chapter 14.
Yes, the wisdom of letting go. It circles back to that earlier idea, but goes deeper. It's about true discernment, knowing when to walk away.
Not clinging.
Exactly. Embracing what he calls the dragon's detachment. Seeing change not as loss, but as transformation. Understanding life's cycles. Freedom, really.
Wow. Okay, so pulling this all together, as we wrap up this deep dive into Zoran's thinking, it's pretty clear how these poker ideas, seen through Zoran's eyes, offer some surprisingly practical wisdom for life, right?
Definitely. Adapting to uncertainty. Tuning into your intuition. Managing your energy like a precious resource.
Knowing when to back off strategically, folding that ego.
And keeping your eyes open for those quiet, royal flush moments.
So for you listening, maybe think about how these poker principles could give you a new angle on your own challenges, your own decisions right now.
Yeah, which of these ideas really landed for you? Which one felt like, I need to think about that?
And maybe even try some of those dragon trials we talked about. Do a little introspective work on your own. Zoran seems to suggest that digging into this can really boost your self-awareness.
And help you navigate that river of life just a bit more skillfully, perhaps.
So let's leave you with that final powerful question from Zoran himself.
The cosmos does not pause. The river flows, the fire burns, the cards are played, and you are meant to stand within it all, not as a passive observer, but as the wielder of destiny itself. So tell me, mortal, what will you do next?
A lot to chew on there. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of Zoran's Dragon's Guide to the River of Life. We really hope it gave you some valuable and maybe intriguing things to consider.